got her own music. Her name is Carolyn Bordeaux. She's on with us periodically, every other week, maybe once a month. We're trying to figure it out. But she is a former congresswoman out of Gwinnett County, and we're on because we're coming up to the shutdown. She'll be back on Tuesday so we can break down the election night as well, municipal elections. But Carolyn, how are you, my sister?
Hello. Good to be on.
Yes,
Good to be
ma'am.
with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Rainy evening.
Let's start. I want to start with the shutdown. I do want to talk about a lot. We want to talk about the PSC race turnout and everything. But shutdown. I just had Congressman Collins on, and he said there are 1.4 million Georgians in Georgia who receive SNAP benefits. Talk to us about the impact that's going to have not only on the people we know we feel for them, but on the politics of this.
Well, it's really serious, right? These are really low-income families who often really struggle. People with disabilities, folks who really struggle to make ends meet. And so it's a real challenge. I think what Democrats are saying and what I see, I was just doing some research on whether this is true or not, but the administration has the ability to release contingency funds to fund SNAP benefits. They have I think $6 billion in contingency funds just easily available. It's not enough to cover all of November's SNAP benefits, but certainly would cover a significant portion of them. They have other contingency funds that they're using, for instance, to cover WIC right now. And administrations in the past, when there were shutdowns, used those funds to fund the food stamps. So there are some real options out there. So it's kind of unfortunate that we're coming to this moment.
It's interesting the argument the Trump administration is waging. They're waging the argument that emergency, because this contingency fund in the wording says emergency funds. They're saying that emergencies mean natural disasters. And I don't agree with that. I understand the argument, but I don't agree with that because FEMA covers emergencies. So I don't need to have WIC.
That's right.
I already have FEMA with billions and billions of dollars. So if there's a hurricane in Georgia right now, FEMA's going to cover that. And so I just my problem with all of this. Go ahead. Well, I just want to say this.
They're saying that they're going to release the funds for emergency for places that are in states of emergency.
Right.
But that's it. Right.
Right.
And so. And they have the ability to do more. And I think a lot of people are calling on them for them to do more. But what is your bigger problem?
My bigger problem here is I've got two parties, right, really using people as pawns in a bigger power game. And that's what's sickening to me. What makes it more sickening to me is I have the people, the voters, down at the bottom fighting each other over whose side is right and wrong and completely ignoring the people impacted. I will go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, so yes. And I just, I was in Washington. I go back and forth between Washington and Atlanta. And I will say, I've talked to people in both parties and both of them want the other party on their knees right now. So it's ugly. And the other thing that annoys me about this is that this is actually pretty easy to solve. This is not that difficult a stalemate. So we can start. The Democrats are saying they want the issue of the health insurance premiums to be addressed. This is a real problem. Is it typically associated with a continuing resolution? No. Right. So fair there on both sides. But those health insurance premium increases are enormous, right? And Georgia and Florida are two of the states that are most affected by that. I have, a woman who does my hair, her health insurance premiums, I think they're going to quadruple. They're going to go from like $500 a month to $2,000 a month. I'm talking to
people right now who are telling me the exact same thing, and they're terrified. And the question becomes who they blame. In Georgia, I got statewide races. I need my Republicans to win. I know you're on the other side. But from my vantage point, all I've been talking about this entire time is how will this impact statewide races next year?
It is going to be devastating. And the thing for Republicans, and I have been very candid with Republicans up there. So these insurance premium tax credits, right? They're not fantastic public policy. They just paper over the profits that the insurance companies are making, bring down our health insurance costs. But we don't have a better solution on the table right now. We need a better solution. The easy way through here is just to extend it for 1 year. It's $35 billion. There's some pretty straightforward offsets that you can come up with to pay for that. Extend it for a year and work on a better solution. And if I were a Republican, I would just take it off the table for the Democrats.
Right.
But they're not doing that. And I was talking to them up there, and they're just like, no, we don't think people they don't think people need it. And one other interesting thing about this is that if you look nationally, it's uneven. So nationally, the health insurance premiums are going to go up 30%. That's a lot, but that's nothing like Georgia, where it's going up 100, 200%, right? These are huge increases in this state, and it's going to play a real role, I think, in the midterms.
I think I'm telling Republicans every single day I can, and they call me a turncoat. They call me, oh, you're fence riding or whatever they want to say, and I keep telling them, remember, the Trump base is a working class base. That's the Trump base. It's a former Reagan Democrat. It's a working class base, and it's a base of people that don't vote all the time. Up until he came around, the Trump base weren't regular voters. That's why, because they didn't like the system. They didn't trust the system. Now you shoot their premiums up 50, 60, 70, 100%. Where do you think they're going to go? They're not going to go vote for John Ossoff. They're not going to go vote for Gavin Newsom for president. They're just going to stay home.
Or they may. I mean, this is bad enough where, if you combine this plus the increases in energy prices, and we can talk about the PSC race, but those things and then plus inflation, right? I think the Democrats have an enormously powerful campaign that's kind of coming to a head here, particularly in states like Georgia that are particularly hard hit, and where the Republicans are the party in power that are going to take the blame for what's going on.
I agree, because they're in charge. And if you're a simple person with not much education and you're on WIC or you're working class, no, seriously, and you're working for a landscaper or you have your own, just a working class person, which we know the Trump base is. They just see who's in charge. It's like a football team. Your football team loses your college football team loses two games. The quarterback doesn't get blamed. The coach gets blamed. The defense doesn't get blamed. The coach gets blamed. And that's what's going to happen. Let's go to the PSC race. I just had Mike Collins on, Congressman Mike Collins. I'm sending my people out to vote for the Republicans. Please go out and vote for Tim Echols and Fitz Johnson. Carolyn Bordeaux, your pitch to your side.
Well, we have our energy prices. What you're paying for your electric bill has gone up quite dramatically. On average, it's like $500 a year increase. It has been increased, 5 or 6 times over the past few years.
But there is a 3-year.
If you care about that, we need to do something about it, and the party in charge takes the blame for that.
Well, let me say this: we do have a 3-year freeze on rate increases. You don't think that's enough?
Well, they came around that because people started to get mad. But no, we need to back them out. They are not investing in clean energy that is cheaper now. It's become cheaper than the coal-powered energy that Georgia Power is investing in. We need some thinking outside the box, and we need a PSC that is not in the pocket. And I have many friends at Georgia Power, but they need oversight, and we need members of the PSC who are not in the pocket of Georgia Power.
What do you attribute to the low turnout on both sides? The number one county for turnout is District 5 congressional. Number one congressional turnout is District 5, but they have a huge mayor's race. You got a Fulton County Commission race. You got city council races in Atlanta. That's all District 5. Why do you think it's so? Why do you think it's so low across the state for the PSC race?
Right. This is nothing unusual. It is not even a midterm, which is lower than the presidential year. This is a off-cycle election, and so it is going to be low. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that Fulton and DeKalb, really do have high turnout right now, and that is potentially a problem for the Republican PSC candidates.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, go vote. Carolyn Bordeaux, we appreciate you, my sister. All right. Talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Taking your calls next, 448-720-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. It's the Shelley Winter Show.